Sports fans, welcome back to my channel. Okay, let's talk about this. Who would win the 90s players versus the 220s? First, let me say this. A lot of people have been giving me flack about the Jimmy High Roller video I made. And let me tell you something. Why'd you put his face? His face is already on the internet. He already made videos with his face. I didn't go looking for his face. I just wanted to know about this guy, when he was born and stuff like that. When you're got that many views and you're pretty much a celebrity on YouTube, it's going to come up. I didn't disrespect his family. Nothing personal said about him. I didn't say nothing about his race. All I digged up was when he was born. And how long he's been on YouTube, and his face just happened to pop up. Okay? Like I said, he made videos with his face. So what's the big deal? You guys getting all sensitive and crying and stuff like that because the dude done turned into trash. Right? He's got this opinion, which everybody can have. But if you're just going to one-side your opinion and act like you're on the fence and you're going both ways and you're not disrespecting the 90s, but you disrespect them your whole video and trash them and then say it's no disrespect and the 90s, it ain't nothing against the 80s, but you trash them. You don't make a real comparison about the blooper reels and the carries and the travels in the 2020s, right? You don't say nothing about that. But you say that the 80s and 90s players couldn't play, couldn't shoot, couldn't dribble. It's trash. You taking little clips and you're getting what you want to get. But yet they outlaw defense in the NBA. When? In 2005. Why? Because the LeBron era guys got mocked by international plumbers in '04 Olympics and '06 FIBA, which 99% of those guys couldn't even make an NBA roster. Right? And if they could, they would have been in the NBA because we've been having international players in the NBA. Right? So when the NBA saw that these guys got mopped all over the floor, '04 Olympics, '06 FIBA, what happened? They had to change the defensive rules to help these guys because they have no fundamentals. So keep a hurdle in front of the 80s and 90s guys, but take the hurdle away from the LeBron era guys up until the 2020s, right? Oh, we want to see faster paced basketball. We want to see more offense. Well, that's on you if you can't play with defense, but don't compare another era who played under defensive rules and say they were trash. Don't do that. When you took the hurdle away for these guys to look better, take the hurdle away from the 80s and 90s guys and see how much more points they score a game. Because when we look at it, right, what happens? When we look at career points per game, the LeBron era in the 2020 guys averaged no more for a career than the David Robinsons, the Karl Malones, the Michael Jordans, the Kareem Abdul-Jabbars, the Magic Johnsons, depending on what position it is. The Scottie Pippens, these guys really average no more points per game for a career. They don't. And that's with defense taken away. Right? They didn't say, in the 80s and 90s, we're going to go let the world take over because you got smoked in the Olympics. Oh, they caught up to us. Well, that's on you. If you got smoked by some international plumbers, with 99.9% of them wasn't in the NBA and they caught up with you, that's saying something about you. A Manu Ginobili Argentina team, a six-man, Manu Ginobili won the gold medal against the second best thing since Jordan, the king, who couldn't even get in the game because he shot 41% from the field and was a minus 144 for his rookie season. Of course he can't get in the game. And then what's the excuse? He averaged like 30 points per game. Wade was coming off a championship. Bosh was older. Carmelo Anthony was older. Chris Paul was in there that time in the '06 FIBA. They got smoked by some international plumbers. Right? We need to take away defense. Let's lie and say we want a faster game. Because when it was defensive rules still, LeBron wasn't even making the playoffs. Soon as they change the defensive rules, what happens? He makes the playoffs. And we're not talking about what Jordan had to go through when he was getting clotheslined in the air, punching and kicking. punched and kicked in the air. We're not talking about that, because after they changed those rules, it was still hand checking. It was still body to body. It was still elbows in the post, still up until 2005. Right? Okay. So that's why I don't like Jimmy High Roller, because he's not, he tries to be sneaky. Either you know basketball or you don't know what the hell you're talking about, buddy. You don't know what you're talking about. These guys carry and travel right in front of the refs. And the people in the crowd are screaming, carry, travel, palming, and all that stuff right in front of the refs. And the refs ain't even making the call. So is this even real basketball? So let's get into this. One thing you will notice in this image that Fadeaway World put up, guess they don't know basketball. LeBron did not come in the 2010s. He didn't come into the league in the 2010s. So this 2020 is not his era. He got smoked in the 2010s. And he continues to get manhandled in the 2020s once he came to the Lakers, right? Once he came to a competitive conference, he got smoked. Or he ain't been doing good, my fault. He got smoked in the 2010s, even with a super team. This is not LeBron's era, so I don't know why they're trying to put him on this graphic. You need to put Joker. You need to put Greek Freak. And most of these guys in this graphic was not playing this type of 2020 ball today. That they weren't playing that in the past that they're playing. This didn't happen until 2020. And this really isn't a product of Curry. Because we know what the Splash Brothers did. They was the only ones shooting the three on the perimeter. Clay and Curry. And they were playing team ball. They was moving the ball around. They still was playing like a more of a half court. It wasn't four guys sitting at the 3-point line and one guy, the center, in the middle. They wasn't playing that game. Today is a lazy game. So you don't have to have any fundamentals. You don't have to defend. You don't have to have post games. You don't have to have pick and rolls to the basket. You don't have to have anything as positional players. There's no positional players. Curry didn't start this. This is something new. Everybody thought they could be Curry and Clay. They're not. Your centers, your power forwards, your forwards, they all want to be Clay. And they all want to be Curry. They're not. So like I said in the past, you come to work or you go to a job and you get hired. Your first day at the job, everybody is doing the same position. You're like, what? How's this company going to be good? How's this going to work if everybody's doing the same position? So I'm not going to go over this. I've gone over this in the videos that I posted about this era and about his play. It's fake. Everybody runs the same. They run the same thing. They run the same schemes. Are these real coaches? They don't seem like real coaches to me. How could you all be playing the same scheme? 4 guys at the 3-point line, 4 defenders at the 3-point line, and 1 guy in the post. Every possession, and everybody just chucking up threes. So you get paid for doing less? For not playing position basketball? Do what you want to do, but don't compare that to a different era. But this is what I will say. If you want to compare the 90s to the 2020s, this is what I'm going to do, right? We're going to play our game. You play your game. That's what we're going to play. So on offense, the 90s guys are going to come down and run their offense, which is skilled guys at every position. A forward, he's going to be a stretch guy. Power forward, he's going to be a guy on the block. He's going to have, paint moves. The center is going to be in the center. He's going to have center moves, and he's going to do what a center does. A guard, a point guard, he's going to run the offense. And the shooting guard, he's going to do what he does. He's going to be able to shoot the ball. That's why he's a shooting guard, right? That's what we're going to do. So you can come down on offense if you're the 2020 guys and run your offense. Put your 4 guys at the top of the key and put your 1 guy in the middle. And guess what? The 90s guys, we're going to defend that. And if you think we can't, these guys right here can't defend that, the John Stocktons has the most steals of all time. Defensive teams, Michael Jordan, one of the greatest defenders of all time. Akeem Olajuwon, one of the greatest defenders of all time. Scottie Pippen, one of the greatest defenders of all time. And then you got to have the rest of our roster, right? You got to have Rodman. You got to have David Robinson. Let's throw in a Shaq, maybe. You could have these type of guys and more from the 90s playing these 2000 guys. LeBron is out of here. He's not a 2000 guy. You can bring in Joker. You can bring in maybe Luka, whoever you want to bring in, Tatum, Brown, and we're going to defend those guys sitting at the three-point line. We don't find that too hard to do. But are you going to be able to defend us when we go down and play our game, our half-court game? Are you going to be able to defend our guys down there in the paint, on the perimeter? And the answer is no. No. You ain't going to be able to defend those guys. And you're not going to know what to do once the 90s defense is all over you. That's what's going to happen. You've been lied to. It's a lie. You're not used to playing defense. You're not used to playing positional defense. You're not used to people playing defense on you. So all this lie about, oh, could the 90s players couldn't play in this era. First of all, let me tell you this. This is not the greatest era of all time. So quit trying to make it look like, oh, could they play in this era? What would they do? This ain't the greatest era of all time. Second of all, they will make work out of these guys. Look at your Jokers. Look at your Joel Embiids. They can barely get up the court. They're no faster than the Akeem Olajuwon or David Robinson or Patrick Ewing when he was young. They're no faster than these guys. And Alonzo Mourning, Joker. Denver usually plays a half-court game. If you don't believe me, go watch a Denver game. I'm not saying he's the slowest dude ever, but he's not faster than the Kings and the David Robinsons and these great centers that was in the 90s. We had the greatest talent of centers. We had sharpshooters. We had defenders. We had it all. And we got our skills from the 80s. We just polished it off a little bit better, right? Because the medicine got better. The shoes got better. You know, we saw their fundamentals. And that's how we play. Yeah, we didn't have all these super teams like they had. So I really don't know what these guys are talking about. They will get railroaded in this era. Even the 210s will get railroaded by the 90s. Take a LeBron team that went to 8 straight finals in the 2010s, playing nobody, no competition. Even when he got over to, he couldn't even get the number 1 seed in Miami but one time against that weak East. A dying out Boston team in the 210s. They were pretty much done, playing on their last leg against LeBron's Miami super team. After that, it was nothing left in the East. LeBron goes over to Cleveland. He goes to the finals, 4 more times? Against nobody. And he only had the number 1 seed one time, right? That's how much they were relaxing. Well, we really ain't got to play. We just cruise through the regular season. And then, we can get a number 2, number 3 seed and still make the finals. What? In the 80s and 90s, if you had the number 1 seed, 99% of the time, you was the better team in the East or the West. You was going to the finals. Kyrie leaves. LeBron, he takes a bunch of nobodies to the finals again. Right? Takes a bunch of nobodies. That's how weak that East was. The 90s is going to dominate the 210s. Only good team I seen was the Warriors. But they're not used to no defense. We will play our style game on offense, and then they play their style of offense. They couldn't guard us. But we can guard them. That's the problem. You say no defense? Our guy, Jordan would be scoring like 40, 50 a game. Hakeem would be scoring 30 a game. Pippen probably would be scoring like 30 a game. Malone would score 30 a game. Stockton, he probably would score about 20 to 25 points. What are you talking about? This is all you guys score in this no defensive era, right? For your careers. 25 to 30 points, right? For a career. So how are you even better with no defensive rules? I mean, dudes is going. Your era is so bad. You had to start tearing down other eras for a 4-6 loser. You guys just couldn't move on and say this guy lost. He was a great talent, but he got what he wanted. He jumped to super teams and it blew up in his face. But instead, they keep trying to defend this by tearing down other eras. You can't defend losing. You can't defend meltdowns. You can't defend a guy who doesn't make his teammates better. And now you're trying to stick him in the 2020s and make make the 2020s a losing product too. Laziness, super teams, no defense. This is what LeBron brings when he came in the 2020s. Bubble championships, missing the playoffs with super duper teams, missing the playoffs. Had to make a play in. This is like chess. We're going to win every time. You play your style offense, we'll play our style offense. You won't be able to stop us, but we'll be able to stop you because you're not used to defense. And we're not just talking about hand checking and elbows and stuff like that. We'll be all up on you, bro. We ain't just going to let you shoot out there. That's what you guys want in your era. You're going to see traps. You're going to see people stealing the ball. You're going to see dudes all up on you like you never seen. Dudes hustling. You ain't going to get no... Look at this. Reggie Miller used to come off of like 3 screens and still have a hand in his mug. Right? We're going to practice. You're not going to practice. So you're going to get hurt because you're not used to playing hard-nosed ball. That's what's going to happen. We don't want to diss your era, but why diss our era? Because it's not working out for your era in ratings. Nobody watches this crap. It's playground, AAU, flag football.